Testing, testing. Things seem to be in working order. I think to quote Half-Life. That's probably not the quote. Oof. That was not a good way to start the stream. Let's move on. Let me check the YouTube just to make sure that the stream looks healthy. No, that was the quote from Half-Life, wasn't it? Things seem to be in working order. And then, they're expecting you, Gordon, in the test chamber. What an odd line delivery. I'd love to know what happened to get that kind of delivery when Valve was recording for the original Half-Life. Fun stuff. All right. Hey, we've got Kaiser in here. Jack Mitchell. Kira. Fate. V-Scythe. Dark Beast. Poyo. Trash Gamer. Prince Yugali? It's either that or Juggly, which I apologies. How you guys doing though? The test chamber. It's just like a really weird line delivery, right? John Halo from Moxie Zombies is my favorite. I don't know if we're however many minutes into the stream before we can say the word, but I am not one to tempt the YouTube algorithm. So guys, I've been playing Survive the Undead quite a lot. And it's a pretty fun mode, I gotta say. I've gotten quite good at it. I wonder if it would be possible for them to make a flood mode based off this in the future. Probably be easy, super easy. It's up to 343 though, I think, to invest. Sup, says Dev1999, I think. My beautiful wife is thankfully here. Haven't seen her in chat in probably a month. Oh, she's been here. So currently she is in New York, everybody. I only play, I don't know why I just, I play Halo Infinite only in short bursts, so I had no idea this was a thing. It's a thing, and it's really, really, really good fun. Is the PC port still unstable / lacking support compared to the Xbox port? I don't think it's ever lacked support, because the patches for Xbox and PC always go out at the same time. That way, crossplay remains. Because if it didn't, then there would be problems with crossplay. But as far as problems are concerned, I mean, yeah. And I don't think those will ever be resolved until we have futuristic supercomputers that can kind of like brute force their way through the problems. It's mostly the shader compilation. Every time that you boot up the game really struggles, I guess. Like, it seems kind of like it doesn't like compile all of its shaders, at one proper startup, and then from there the boot up process is relatively fast. It seems to restart the shader compilation each time you boot up the game. Something like that. That's the only thing I can think of as to why it takes so long to get to the main menu. Man, I haven't played Halo Infinite in years. Should I jump back in? Le Paradox. I would suggest, if you liked the core game, but you thought that there were issues, mainly with balancing maps and, lack of modes to play, it's in a good spot now. The game is actually in a very good spot. It's got a healthy smattering of PvE and PvP content now. As an example, I am playing a PvP mode. Screen calibration. Okay. I am going to then start over here. This is usually on count. This is the Halo Reach map countdown, but because it's been zombieified, it's called Countdown of the Dead. Yeah, this is usually how I start. The zombies, I noticed that they tend to bias this this spawn point, and it helps that you can also see over there. So if you just stay right here with a assault rifle and you can take down a whole bunch of them when the match starts. Here's another thing. So guys, you can see down below, do you see my gamer tag, my first, the blue and stuff? The number that's in there, that's how many points. That's how many points you have. The points you use to buy wall weapons, you buy perk-a-colas, not perk-a-colas, but like as an example, they have like damage boost, health. Right there, I just picked up the best gun in the mode, which randomly dropped. I don't know how to trigger this. I think it's an Easter egg of some kind that people trigger, and then it'll just like show up. It's a little skull, and you pick it up, and you get this thing, which will chain link lightning to other zombies when you hit them. So it's like the Wonder Waff. So it's zombies, like they're not floodified. Yeah, they are not floodified. It is melee attacking enemies that are our zombie stand-ins for the evening, which is adorable, by the way. I actually really like that. Because as a big connoisseur of Halo Reach's Living Dead playlist, I really like when Halo has a zombies mode that is essentially pretend I'm a zombie. You know, because before 343 came along, the infection game mode, it didn't have any production value. The zombies were just guys with energy swords. And then it wasn't until Halo 4 when, like, the infected got, like, proper character models, sound effects and stuff, and they really, really embodied, like, the infection vibe. But, this mode, it's elites with energy swords and brutes with gravity hammers and stuff. And I like it a lot. It's very throwbacky. Okay, so you can see here I've got 1775 points. Health, each perk you can upgrade 4 times. So this is the health station, basically Juggernog. I'm going to upgrade once. And you can see on my screen it just popped up, health 1 out of 4. So I've gotten the first upgrade. I'm going to buy it again. And now it's going to say perk, or health, 2 out of 4. And that's basically like the gimmick to go for is... Get your perks upgraded. That thing right there, the red grunt, it is insta-kill. So it makes all of them die immediately to one shot. Also, one punch will get them. You can see here I'm punching them. There's no barricades for them to break down, so they just like hop into the map through these red spawn doors, these one-way shields. Why the hell are people so obsessed with fish zombies? Like the Flood? I think just because, like, the Flood's fun. And the Flood is fun. And a Flood Horde mode is something that I think would be a very savvy business decision. If, Halo Studios were to do that. I was about to say 343. Did you hear me? Every couple of rounds, you'll get a special round. And the special rounds usually serve to, like, introduce whatever the new enemy type is going to be. So, like, right there, you saw the running brutes. And we're already done with the wave. Like, that was super easy. It's because now running brutes are going to be, like, a usual enemy alongside the sword elites. Yell it out to him through the comments. What's going on? What's going on? Am I missing something? Read what Isaiah said. Since the boss might notice your comment, can you all tell your husband Xbox has him appearing offline? Gotcha. Okay. I will fix that after this game, Isaiah. All right? Fish is in codfish. Oh, codfish! Oh, well, Codfish Zombies is good. Like, really good. That's why people are obsessed with it. It's just, like, good, you know? I mean, maybe not so much lately. I think the Warzone era of Call of Duty Zombies has been lacking. But that's not to say it's bad either. There are 46 zombies still in the wave. I'm not sure if I like that, personally. I don't really like the wave counters in, like, fan mods for Call of Duty Zombies custom maps and stuff. I think it's more fun when you don't quite know when the wave is gonna end. I love the evolution vids, man. I watch them when I go to sleep. I'm glad. I'm glad. Currently working on the evolution of the warthog. Which that's going to be fun. Because the warthog has a lot of history both in and out of Halo. Red versus blue, real life warthogs. Like, it wasn't until somebody brought up, they were like, I hope you cover Red versus Blue. And I was like, oh my God, that's right. The Warthog, the music that's always, the mariachi that's always playing on the Warthog radio in Red versus Blue whenever anybody is driving it. Like, that thing is iconic to the Warthog, that mariachi music. Oh, 350. Wait, that's enough to refill, right? It's not letting me refill my gun. Must be bugged. It's also possible that I was holding down the wrong button. Let's see again. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Must have just been bugged. Okay. It's a puma. Yeah, see, that's like another iconic thing. The, saying it doesn't really look like a warthog, it looks more like a puma. What's a puma? That doesn't sound like a real animal. Yeah, like all of that stuff is like so iconic to the warthog, so yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun doing the evolution of the warthog. I hope Halo Studios does a wave of upgrades to Halo Infinite before they move on, because I feel like they could improve a lot of stuff. There is a lot of stuff that they could improve, but I doubt we will see anything substantial, just because unless microtransactions for Halo Infinite are still like doing gangbusters, there probably isn't like reason, I guess, to really invest. Like if they're not going to get anything back for it. But I do agree with you. I would love like kind of like a massive quality of life update to kind of like improve a lot of things. There's some things that I almost wonder if like they just can't do because of like limitations with the engine, you know, just things that fundamentally they're unable to improve without like a lot of resources, like too many resources for management to spend, such as the you know, I was looking at it today, the career tab, or like the profile tab in the main menu. Remember, the game just didn't launch with any way to see your stats. And then it took them like a year and a half to finally add it, and it was just how many matches you've played. And that was kind of it. I wonder if part of the reason that they can't add anymore is just because, like, not necessarily a lack of interest or lack of enthusiasm, but just because of the way that Halo Infinite's menu is set up, it's unnecessarily complicated to add something as simple as that. Because remember when they were saying they couldn't add more playlists due to UI limitations? I don't think that was entirely a lie. I'm just going to go with the flow about Halo Studios, not going to be paranoid about it. Yeah. I'm rooting for them, you know? I hope that the Unreal Engine means that they can do things a lot faster, because the unusual bugginess and kind of like slow to patching flow of 343 Industries, I think a lot of that was probably just due to how cumbersome the Slip Space engine had become to work with. And on Unreal Engine, I bet there's like a lot of stuff, like, you know, fixing Big Team Battle, how the matchmaking wasn't working properly at launch. Like, that'll probably be an easier fix on Unreal Engine than it was for Slip Space. Though the Unreal Engine, it's not like Unreal Engine 5 is, you know, this just beautiful, super easy, super optimized engine either. It's got a lot of problems, and that does actually worry me. This is cool, though, right? Countdown of the Dead. Look, like there's some more of the multiplayer map down there, but it's all zombified. It gives me, like, Ascension vibes from Call of Duty, though. You know, that probably has to do with just the launch site map itself, and not really because of any flow or anything. I hope the next game will have a color wheel. God, me too. There's a current engine restriction that makes the elites look a bit too bright and plasticky when under direct sunlight. It's a pet peeve, but it's jarring when you notice it. No, that's not an engine limitation. That's a lighting side effect, I believe, from the lighting implementation that they do. And it's not when they're under direct sunlight. I think it's when they're not under direct sunlight. It's indirect lighting. Like, they almost look kind of like they're glowing when they're in shadow. Now let's revive another guy. All right. Thoughts on third person? I think third person is cool. I think it's cool. I like it a lot. Third person mode, I also think it's something that would make Halo more accessible. Because there are some people that get motion sick playing first person shooters. Like, third person games are obviously like a stylistic preference if you like the over the shoulder camera. But there is also sometimes an accessibility thing. Because, like, first person shooters aren't for everybody. That's probably why Fortnite is so big. And a lot bigger than games like Apex Legends. Like, something about detaching the camera from your field of view and having it follow the person rather than being through their eyes. Like, it's easier for some people. I know my wife is keen to try Halo Infinite again when the third person mode arrives. I'm a little worried about the execution because I hope it feels like Halo. Yeah, I'm worried about that Halo-y feeling too, because it's not just about the physics for Halo. It's other things, like the way that the game world is rendered, the way animations are handled, you know, the actual feeling and inertia and input response of, like, your character. It's kind of like, You can get, like, the physics. You can make physics fly around everywhere, but are they going to... Is it going to feel like you're playing a game in the Halo engine when you're moving about? Probably not, because it's Unreal. So the best you can do is get as close as possible to translating over some of those little things. The sunsetting of many proprietary engines over the years in favor of moving solely to Unreal has me worried. Feels like Too many eggs piled in one basket. I 100% agree, dude. I completely agree. It's just, I wish that, like, the gaming industry, like, these larger game companies, they worked more on keeping teams together. You know, not relying on contract work so much. Massive teams with gigantic budgets and, like, 8 to 9 years of development time. So that these teams can have their own proprietary tool set and can really hone their craft and make cool games with them. Because it feels kind of like, you know, this constant churn and burn of talent moving to the Unreal Engine. It's easier for all the temporary folk to get up to speed on it than it is like some kind of complicated proprietary tool set, and I don't like it. You know, and that's not to say, like, games used to be, like, with rose-colored glasses, because the video game industry back then, the problem with it is because it was, like, these smaller, close-knit teams, there was a lot of peer pressure, I guess, might be the term to describe it, to encourage you to crunch. There was a lot of... the gaming industry has gotten better over the years. Not perfect, okay? But better about crunch and worker burnout and stuff. At least in third person, your Spartan's legs will be visible at higher FOVs. Oh, for sure, for sure. That's one of the goofier things that they did for Halo Infinite, was just straight up despawn your legs at higher FOVs. Because MCC does it fine. Can you implement the Blam engine into Unreal? It doesn't work quite like that. The best way that I can describe it is the best way that I can describe it would be the engine is sort of like the internal components of a car. So if you were to, like, how can you fit an engine into an engine? You know, you got to pick and choose. You can take parts of the engine and put them onto a different engine, but you can't stick an engine inside of an engine so that that new engine feels kind of like your old one. You know, it's like trying to put a cheeseburger inside of a cheeseburger. You want to know the coolest thing about Survive the Undead, this playlist? Look at my score. Once the match is over, I'm gonna get paid out that much Spartan XP. And the higher the wave you go, the more XP you get. Just this morning, I finished a round after 30 minutes with almost 20,000 XP. Because we got to, like, wave... It was the high 20s before we just got overwhelmed because Esheram eventually shows up as a boss, and he's really tough to take out. If you guys hear something that sounds kind of like a lawnmower behind me, that's do not be alarmed. It's not a piece of machinery. It is a Shih Tzu snoring. Here we go. We got the insta-kill. Where are my buddies? Oh, they're all dead, aren't they? Here, let me I think Xperia mentioned that it might... Oh, did you see that lag? Xperia mentioned it might be possible. Well, I said earlier, Halo is more than just the physics. It's also the under-the-hood game feel, the responsiveness of aiming, the way aiming just feels, the way animations are interpolated. Like, don't get me wrong, physics are an important part of Halo, but it's more than just the physics. Yeah, and things like Havoc, they can... You could... Like, Halo, you know, the car engine parts analogy, how you can take parts of an engine and stick it onto another one. Halo's physics were handled by a third-party physics system called Havoc, and basically they would just like pay for the license to use Havoc in the Blam engine. So that is something that could be transplanted into Blam. But other things like the way aiming is handled, the way enemy AI interact with each other, that I'm not so sure about. But you know, it is going to be exciting to see what they can do, though, with some of the things that Unreal Engine here. I got to get to... Damn it. Okay. Look at that. Almost 10,000 points. Ugh. Countdown is the worst performance out of all the maps. Yeah, Countdown is usually where I get like packet losses and stuff. Being conspiratorial, Tim Sweeney combating Steam's de facto monopoly by making... Oh. Come here, baby. Come here. Come here. I got you. It's okay. It's okay, TT. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. Hey, baby. Shh. It's okay, baby. It's okay, baby. Pumpkin. It's okay. I got you, buddy. I got you, baby. It's okay. It's okay, baby. Shh. There. Shh. It's okay. It's okay. Slow your breathing. Sorry, guys. Shih Tzu who reverse sneezed. Anybody who has dogs knows how scary reverse sneezing can be. Oh, baby, it's okay. I got you, honey. It's okay. I got you, buddy. Shh. It's okay. So reverse sneezing is basically like dogs, when they snore, they'll irritate their sinuses. And so what'll happen is when they really start snoring, like really hard, their sinuses get so irritated that they start, it's almost like a reaction, like a bodily reaction. They start uncontrollably like snorting in really aggressively, and their sinuses start swelling up, and suddenly they can't breathe, but they can't stop snorting in, so they get startled awake, and it's just like they can't breathe and they can't stop. That's what that snorting was. Somebody said it sounded like a pitch down rubber chicken. It's like I call it the piggy attack, because he sounds like a little piggy. That's what happens basically. And the best thing that you can do is you pick them up and you kind of like hold them facing down a little bit while also rubbing them and getting them to calm down and slow down a little bit. So right now he's shaking a little bit. His heart rate is elevated, so I'm holding him. You're such a good boy. It's okay. The piggies are gone. The scary piggies are gone, buddy. It's all right. I got you, baby. It's okay. You're a good boy? Are you a good boy? Were you dreaming of angry piggies? I got you, baby. I got you, baby. So it's an asthma attack, but for dogs. Kind of, yeah. It really, really affects... It really, really affects dogs that have, like, short snouts. The ones that are, you know, snort and honk a lot because they've got such small sinuses that it's very easy for those to get inflamed, like when they're snorting. And he's never had that happen? Yeah, it's more common with small dogs. Yeah, reverse sneezing. It's very scary when it happens. There you go, Dee. Who's your baby? Are you a baby? He's okay now. His heart rate is back to normal. He's not trembling. Now he's just like looking around while licking his lips because he wants to get down. Is the audio low for anybody else? If it's low, I can turn it up. Like when you sneeze when drinking poo. Exactly. Exactly. They're going to do a Combat Evolved 25th anniversary, and it looks like what Project Foundry presented. I'm feeling optimistic, though cautious. Project Foundry, I would not take anything in that for granted, because that was essentially kit bashing. The only original model I think I spotted was that Combat Evolved pistol. Everything else was like a mixture of Unreal Engine stock assets, as well as Halo Infinite assets. Like some of the lens flare filters and some of the color grading filters are stock Unreal Engine things. Like when Chief ignites the energy sword, that lens flare on the screen, that thing is a stock Unreal Engine asset. So that we know that they're probably going to do some kind of Halo 1 remake in the Unreal Engine. But what we saw, I don't think is actually going to be part of the Halo 1 remake. There we go, baby. Pop, not poo. Oh. Yeah, it's like drinking poo and then you sneeze. All right, come here, baby. Just because he's probably very nervous after that happened, I'm going to put his bed right next to me. Here you go, baby. Here you go, Didi. Yeah, here you go. There you go, baby. There we go. He's getting comfy. You go, boy, Didi. Oh, he just did a sleepy yawn. Yeah, he's okay now. Okay, let's figure out how we can get ourselves online. Aren't tech demos used to gain understanding on how an engine works? Yeah, basically. Because 343, like the folks that are there at 343, they're so trained on using the slip space technology that it's essentially a team building exercise. What they're doing, they're getting familiar with the tool set for Unreal Engine. Okay, options here. Let me invite Isaiah. Tech Pawn. Hopefully that worked. Yeah, little boy had a piggy nightmare. He dreamed he was being attacked by scary piggies. He's okay though now. Oh, your baby. Hi. I love you, Didi. Oh, I love you. Yeah. He's such a good boy. You're a good boy, TT. I wish that there was like, man, so like, the like little dogs suffer so much from like breathing issues. Like Shih Tzus, the sounds they make are fucking hilarious. Like the honky oinking that they do. But like, it's because like their nasal passages are so narrow and restricted that just like breathing in for them comes out like, and it's cute at first until it's like, oh, it's because he can't breathe. That's why he makes sounds like that. I wish that there were just like surgeries that we could do, to kind of expand their nasal passages a little bit. Because Pumpkin, he doesn't know what he's missing. Having big nasal passages, being able to just, like with no issues at all. I'm currently cold and still here to watch that. Oh, you currently have a cold. I thought you were just like, I'm cold, but I'm still watching this. Oh, got space for a third? Yes. Frozen Fire. Hi, says I don't know Jack. I don't know why I said it like that. I don't know Jack. Here, let me share the stream to the Twitter to the Twitter sphere. Here, playing Forge Falcon. Survive the undead. Come join. I know I'm missing some valuable points, but it was worth it. Okay. Yeah, and on wave 1, zombies are also a one-hit punch. Okay, we still came out pretty decent. Oh, wow, we came out really good. Okay. That's why mutts are the healthiest dogs. Yeah, like, dog breeds are really cute, you know, like pure breeds and stuff. But at some point, I hope that we eventually, like, just as the human race move away from breeding specific, you know, getting specific breeds of dogs and continuing those, because it's just not healthy for them. Which map is your favorite? Also, I'm really happy you're enjoying the mode. This map is pretty damn good. The only thing that really gives me trouble on this map are the chieftains with plasma turrets, just because they have really long sight lines on this map, and they take out your shields extremely quick, even when you've got your shields maxed out, or your health, you know, your juggernaut completely maxed out. So, damn, that's a good question. Maybe Countdown? I think Countdown of the Dead might be my favorite survive map. Oh, good boy. Good relaxing. There's a nuke down there. That's what that, if you're wondering what that purple canister that's like spinning was, that is what that is. Yeah, this mode's pretty cool though, right? And really, like, just a ton of points. Oh, and if you pick up the nuke, you get 400 points. Just boom, immediately. There's Durandal. That a pug with a little afro? No, I wouldn't say that. Shih Tzus, they kind of look more like teddy bears. Like, they've got, like, the teddy bear face. You know, like the fat little face with the short... You know, Ewoks. Basically think an Ewok, and that's kind of what a Shih Tzu looks like. Just like these fat little guys with, like, legs that are only 2 inches. Man, we're crazy, like, as a species. I looked at, like, why corgis and shih tzus and stuff have, like, such short little legs, such fat, short little legs. And it's because, like, way back when, like, these breeds were being essentially designed, they intentionally bred dwarfism into the breed. So that's why, like, corgis, like, their bodies, their legs are disproportionately small compared to their bodies. It's because they've got dwarfism. But it's like a trait that was sought out and then bred. Which, that's just crazy to me. Makes me want to look into, like, the history of, like, those dog breeds that have, like, the super, super long legs and stuff, or, like, just kind of, like, different features, and see, like, what is it specifically. about the dog. Like their DNA makes them look like that. No, dwarfism is not wild. Let's clarify. Okay? No, just that they were like on the hunt for specific features. And then they just like kept propagating it. Like rather than kind of like encouraging diversity in sizes and stuff, they were like, no, let's just make every single dog look exactly the same. How did they even do that? Well, it's probably, I'd imagine that it's kind of like you've got generations and generations of litters. Like you're encouraging breeding, basically, with the dogs. Because, you know, dogs, they like to do it, you know? So they're probably encouraging them to have lots and lots of litters. And then they're going through the litters and looking for specific traits and visual qualities, and then they will take those puppies and isolate them and raise them on their own with ones of their kind that have similar traits as well, and then encouraging those to breed. And over the course of, like, you know, however many hundreds of years of doing that, you're like honing in and honing in and honing in, and then you've got like perfect. Now the perfect puppy is born, like the one with all the traits you were looking for. I'd imagine that's what dog breeding is like. And it's not great. Oh boy, let's get out of here. Damn it. Okay. This is one of the more difficult maps. Also inbreeding. Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of good stuff. I'm amazed what sells is breeding poor genes instead of making the ultimate dog like they did with horses. Yeah, it's just like, you know, I want to make a dog that looks like a teddy bear. So let's get rid of the snout. Well, now the dog can't breathe. And it's like, yeah, but it looks cute. It's like, but it can't breathe. But it looks cute. And that's essentially the case with Shih Tzus. It's just sad, you know? Okay, there's some shenanigans happening right now. So let's grab an upgrade. That back there is the Pack-a-Punch machine that you use to upgrade your weapons. You can see I've upgraded my pistol into a lightning pistol. And it's got a little scope, too. We've been selectively breeding since we started farming millennia ago. We were merciful to the avocado. Also, you were halfway through the last super. That's true. I'm going to have to go back and check out that super. We were merciful to the avocado. And you know what is just wild to me was learning like months or like a year ago or something like that, that bananas are not like banana isn't, I guess, man, trying to think of like the term for it. It's hard to talk just because this mode gets pretty intense, but bananas are essentially all clones of a single plant. Like it isn't it is diverse in the wild, but like the bananas that we consume, they're just clones of the same banana. And because of that, bananas are incredibly susceptible to disease and fungus because, well, they're all clones. Being conspiratorial, he'll, by making Epic Game Store a legal monopoly, has me thinking some Eula little pug. Oh man, I know what you're talking about. Is it kind of similar to the situation with Unity where they just kind of like, damn it, kind of similar to the situation with Unity where they tried retroactively adding an insane stipulation to using their engine, like you had to pay royalties for each download or something like that. It was something ridiculous and absurd. I should have begun upgrading my my stuff early. Yeah, I'm very worried about the Epic engine, the Unreal Engine, becoming a monopoly in the game industry. There needs to be more open source engines, I think, for people to use, and proprietary technologies, and building up teams and sustaining those teams should be encouraged, because I don't like this like Unreal Engine unity that we're heading to. Yeah, the banana variety used 100 years ago is totally different from today's one due to it going extinct from a fungus. Yeah, like there's also, we saw this interesting documentary. Apparently there is a deadly fungus that is, you know, because bananas are all clones of each other. Like each banana is exactly identical. And there is an insanely infectious fungus. Like currently bananas are having a zombie apocalypse and we don't know about it. And it's groves where bananas are grown. They're kind of like a lot of modern bananas are grown in quarantine, like isolation. And there's a lot of decontamination measures taken to protect the crop, because all it takes is one banana in the crop to get infected by this fungus, and it spreads like wildfire, like really fast. Throughout and the entire crop is poisoned. All it takes, a single flood spore could destroy an entire species, you know, to quote Halo. Yeah, so it was just like wild seeing these farmers like changing their boots, getting sprayed down with disinfectant, having to walk on like specifically designated paths that were constantly getting disinfected, and then they just like go into a room with a lot of bananas. Hey, how are we doing tonight? We're doing pretty well. That and the recent cases of companies like Disneyland and Uber forcing arbitration in legal cases due to signing. Dude, that is binoculars. That's what I was going to say. For some reason, binoculars and bananas and ridiculous. Binoculars. That's where they all fuse together into that word. But it was like, didn't somebody die of a he died, if I remember the story right, this woman's husband died of an allergic reaction in a Disney restaurant after stating that he was allergic to this type of food and please do not serve it to him, and they did anyways. And then he died of an allergic reaction, and they couldn't sue Disney, the family, because Disney had like he had like a Disney Plus 2 years ago, and in extremely fine print it has like a workaround, like if you sign this, if anything bad happens to you in a Disney park where we can't be held, it's like, what do you, wait, hang on, what? Just insane bullshit. Literally just joined and I hear zombie bananas. What's happening? So the zombie bananas are we were talking about dog breeds and how like selective breeding worked throughout human history, because my Shih Tzu unfortunately had a reverse sneezing attack. And it was kind of like, why do Shih Tzus do that? And it's like, well, it's because they have very shallow nasal passages, and they did that because of selective breeding. And it's like, yes, they look cute, but it's actually very sad. Selective breeding is very bad for dogs. And then we got to bananas, and we're like, did you guys know that like bananas are all clones of a single plant? And that currently there is a fungus outbreak. You know, unknownst to us, bananas are having a zombie apocalypse at the moment. And banana groves have to be kind of like quarantined and constantly disinfected because a single spore from this fungus can destroy an entire crop because of how insanely contagious and infectious it is. Because, you know, every single banana is the same. They're all clones of one another. Yeah, OG bananas used to have pronounced seeds. Oh, it was the guy's wife that died. Gotcha. Okay. But that's crazy, right? Like, I'm sorry. There does need to, you know, those like legal, oh my god. So I downloaded the single player game. No, it was Katamari Reroll. And I was booting it up for the first time on the Xbox, and it was like 4 pages. Each had to be scrolled of like all of these legal disclaimers for Katamari, a game that came out on the PS2, like a re-release of it. And it's like there needs to be some kind of legal protection against like that bullshit, because I'm sorry, like not everyone's gonna read the entire like novel that your legal team has written up. There does need to be some kind of like I don't know, like simplification process so that it's not just so exhaustingly in-depth. And I understand it's exhaustingly in-depth because lawyers are trying to cover all their bases, but like, dude, at some point you're going to have to translate it for non-lawyers. Because we're not reading all that nonsense when we just want to entertain ourselves with Katamari. Or you want to watch like the Obi-Wan show on Disney+. Like, what is it you're trying to protect yourself from? The Uber case was even more ridiculous. A couple got caught in an accident and they were forced to pay arbitration, or forced out of arbitration because their daughter signed up for Uber Eats? What? Like, no. I don't give a damn what insane agreements you come up with. Like, some stuff should just... Listen. I'm not advocating for less rights, but I think companies maybe should not have that many rights. There should be more restrictions put in place about how greedy a company can be. Like, that's not crazy, right? Yeah, one of the rules is Uber Eats your parents. Oh, it's like, okay, got it. It's like Uber. Yeah, they call it the Uber Eats clause. It's like if you sign up for Uber Eats, then Uber has the right to eat your parents. That's also just like, it says like the worst thing about your company if it's like somebody loses the love of their life at your park, and rather than spending like a couple $1,000,000, you know, not even like hundreds of millions, just a couple $1,000,000 to assist the grieving family and try, you can't, but try to make things right. You're immediately just like, nuh-uh, like I'm going to defend myself. Like, stay away. It was your wife's fault. She signed up for Disney Plus. You can't, nuh-uh, can't sue us. Safe zone. It's like the kid in recess when you're playing tag and like you finally catch the kid and then they're like, nuh-uh, I was in the safe zone. And it's like, what safe zone? And they're like, this safe zone. Look, I'm touching the monkey bars. That's the safe zone. You can't tag me if I'm touching the monkey bars. And then they spend the whole recess just hanging out on the monkey bars while you're it. And the game is functionally over because the kid's not going to let go of the monkey bars. And then the teacher says that you all have to go back into class. Banana flavor is derived from gross Michael cultivar subspecies. It was rendered commercially extinct due to fungal vulnerabilities and supplemented by the Banished cultivar, similarly threatened. That is so interesting. Like bananas and like vegetables, because they're not sentient. Like fruits and veggies, I feel less bad about because they're not sentient, like a dog is. But that is just so interesting to me. Like selective breeding with fruits and veggies, and like plants. Because it's like, could you imagine just like growing an entire like super commercially successful strain of like tomato, and then you find like, and they're all clones of each other, you know, this tomato strain, and it's super commercially successful. Everyone loves this specific strain of tomato that you like cloned over and over and over again and turned into an industry. And then you find out, due to like, you know, something happening, that your strain of tomato is super susceptible to somebody rubbing their tummy and saying 1, 2, 3 in front of it. It just makes the tomato die on the spot. And now your entire crop has like this inherent flaw because they're all clones of each other. Like that's kind of like the existential dread that like breeding fruits and veggies comes with. But what if they were sentient? Fruits and veggies? Well, then I'd feel bad. That delay was bad, by the way. I should not have said That should have been an immediate... No, of course I'd advocate for the rights of fruit and veggies. But fruits and veggies, they are not sentient. They are but tasty foods to be consumed. I was about to quote Eshram. I was going to say, by me. I wish I could say it was difficult, but it wasn't. About tasty little bananas. Why does the assault rifle look so big? It's because it is the Halo 1 assault rifle. It's a model kit you can buy in Halo Infinite. It was for the Spirit of Fire Battle Pass. Battle Pass! You got this cool, pretty awesome looking assault rifle. And then, part of last Battle Pass is, it is a battle rifle model built off of the cut battle rifle from Halo Reach, the concept art for it. That's pretty cool, right? Okay, let's keep upgrading, because what I want is like not any of this, unfortunately. What I'm trying to get is the battle rifle with the arc rifle, lightning rifle, whatever it's called. Shock rifle? Yeah, shock rifle. Come, Spartan, bare your fangs. Let's eat tasty banana. Banana Foster! One for here, 2 to go, please. Yeah, that's, like, right before I'm about to eat, like, a tasty banana, I'm like the holograms of Escharum in Halo Infinite's campaign, where the banana is, like, looking up in terror, and I'm, like, looming over it, and I'm like, your friends have been eaten by me. I wish I could tell you it was difficult, but it wasn't. What the hell is going on over there? You see all those bouncy things? Okay, the Shih Tzu is starting to snore, but his snoring sounds a little bit looser. But I'm about to, like, poke him a little bit to, like, get him out of REM. You know, because I don't want him to reverse sneeze again. There we go. I gave him a little scratch, and then he stopped snoring. Yeah, he's awake. So his REM was disturbed, so he's going to be a little bit eepy, so he's going to get back to sleep, you know, so he can go back into REM. And he's not snoring anymore. I don't think... Maybe there is, like, a logic to it, but... I feel like I'm just getting the same upgrades over and over again. By the way, it's canonical that brutes also love bananas. Well, that's because they're monkey. There's a fun detail that I noticed that I'm going to have to include whenever I do the evolution of Halo's brutes. The brute chieftains, they call the player, rather than him, they call the player it. You know, so like, get it. It's running. And they also call you whelp. Like, they call you a little whelp. And I think that implies that the brute chieftains fought in Halo Infinite are possibly like veterans from the Covenant War against humanity. Because in Halo 3, that was like the thing about the brutes. They'd call you an it rather than a he. And they would also use whelp a lot as an insult. And it's just the chieftains. And I think the jetpack brutes. Like the brute miners and stuff, they just call you, it's the Spartan, get him, stop him. Which is cool because they're younger, you know? So it's like the generational gap between the brute leaders and the brute underlings. It's just like a little detail that I noticed. Oh, look at the super chat and my life is yours. Oh my god, I'm okay. Let me find a safe zone. Oh my god, this is the end. I always love your videos on Halo's art, explosions, that type of random. They're what really got me into Halo. Give my regards to the doggo, says Durandal. I appreciate it, man. That's really kind of you to say. And I'm glad you appreciate my little videos on just like the random nonsense. I am currently doing a video on some random nonsense. Hopefully I can get it up tomorrow for y'all. It is about a program called Lossless Scaling. Because, guys, there's what, 116 of us here? Come on, we're all friends. Keep this between all 116 of us. It's a program that lets you AI generate extra frames to your game without having to like upgrade your graphics card or whatever. And it's $7 on Steam, and it's like really impressive. What it'll essentially do is lock your frame rate to something like okay, if you've got like a monitor that does, you know, 120 FPS, lock your frame rate to 60 FPS. And then what it'll do is every you know, like you'll be getting 60 frames every second, and it will add fake AI generated frames in between each real frame. So visually, it will look like you are running the game at 120 FPS, even if it's actually running at 60 FPS. And I found out it can work with game streaming. So I got Halo 5 via xCloud, and I streamed that with this AI frame generation tool. And I played Halo 5 at 120 FPS. And it looks good. Wouldn't that look mushy? Not really. Not really. Like, AI image generation has come a long way. Obviously, there are visual artifacts, you know, but beggars can't be choosers. You got exactly what you signed up for. And because the AI generated frames are in between each real frame. They don't stay on screen for long enough for it to be distracting, because it's like real, fake, real, fake, real, fake. So you've got that flickering back and forth between an AI frame and a real frame that is so fast in under a second because there's 120 images to get through every single second that it just ends up looking smooth. Your brain doesn't have enough time to see all the little imperfections in the AI generated frames because by then you're already onto a real frame, then a fake frame with its own list of, like small little issues. And it just ends up making the games kind of look like they have a soft motion blur filter. It's really, really good looking. And it was astonishing. And in some cases, the AI generated frames actually ended up helping Halo 5 look better, because it would see like the degraded animation quality, in Halo 5 for characters, and it tried to fix them by adding AI generated frames that had like new poses. So it actually ended up making the game look better. It's really cool. Oh, so it interpolates your game's FPS. Interesting. I remember seeing people post cartoons and animations in enhanced FPS using interpolation, and it looked pretty smeary. Yeah, it's basically like that same kind of logic, but a little bit more sophisticated and advanced. Oh God, the anti-cheat bug. Okay, we're gonna have to split up for a second, Isaiah. Okay. And then I'll re-invite you, buddy, okay? Same with you, Frozen Fire. Yeah, it looks good. It kind of ends up just looking like a motion blur filter. And it works even better if your game has motion blur, because the AI generated frames, like there's already a couple, blurs in there by default. So the motion blur actually helps it become more clear. Like it's easier for the motion blur or the AI generated frames to track what's going on. So I tried out Gears of War 2 on xCloud with this AI frame generation thing, and it was like Gears of War 2 running at 120 frames per second. Unreal, man. Not the engine, the technology. Where are you, Frozen Fire? Oh, he left a while ago? Okay. Could you answer my last question, please? Did you ever see Big Lizzy tag team with Monkey to take down King Loot? What? Man, I dislike motion blur, though, at least how most devs use it these days. I think a lot of developers actually use motion blur pretty, well, depends, okay? Ubisoft, typically their motion blurs have always looked atrocious. But I'm thinking of, like, Doom, like the Doom games. Doom Eternal looks so damn good with motion blur enabled. Doom 2016 even better. And I think that the games look really flat without motion blur enabled. Same with the Crysis games. The Crysis games look excellent with motion blur enabled. It's all about the technique. Destiny 2, I think, has one of the most tasteful implementations of motion blur I've ever seen, because the motion blur only affects the edges of your screen and objects that are in motion. So the center of your screen around the crosshair, that's always crystal clear. But it's the edges of your screen where you can actually see motion blur as you whip your camera around or are moving really quickly. And it's just like, mwah, it looks so good in motion. It really complements like fast momentum. Hey, late night gaming, can you say Hawk Tua or Skibbity Dop Dop Dop? That last one was really fun to say. What are y'all's thoughts on the Destiny mobile game? I think it, like, call me crazy, it looks fun. It looks kind of what I wish Destiny would be, which is less of a focus on story and more of a focus on just, like, a world and playable content within the world. I'm a big Destiny fan, but I think Destiny started going really downhill when the seasonal narrative started and, like, characters started to become the focus of Destiny's story. Because Destiny's characters are the franchise's worst aspect, where the lore and world building is always the interesting part. It's more fun to read about the the legends of a character than it is to go up to them in the tower and, like, talk to them. Characters! Like, Saint 14 in Destiny 2, I wish that I could... Like, we brought Saint 14 back from the dead. I wish I could just kill him myself, because I prefer him dead. I'm so tired of Saint 14 and his stupid fake Russian accent. And just the constant melodrama between him and Osiris. It's like, oh my god, I don't care anymore. Like, I can't believe you guys are still on this. Why does Destiny feel like a bad soap opera now? Remember the Taken King? Never played Destiny, but I get the impression that they're all quippy. Oh, it's worse than quippy. They are, it's like a young adult's novel that thinks it's, you know, like the Lord of the Rings show, and how people really hate the Lord of the Rings show because it's like almost every single thing that's said feels like a teenager's version of a Lord of the Rings quote, like something, oh wow, that's, you know, like, I'm 13 and what you just said is really deep. That's basically what Destiny has become. It's just like shallow characters, shallow characters shallowly exploring complex topics and not handling them with a lot of nuance. Rings of Power, yes. No Final Shape spoilers, I beg of you. It's alright. The Final Shape story was really bad, though. But the content was great for it. I really like the content in the Final Shape. Kiera, your thoughts about Saint 14 are exactly my thoughts. I was venting to my wife about that, where I was like, this knight from the Legends of Destiny, who was like super cool, and it was super cool reading about him. They basically brought him back from the dead, and now all he does is complain about his lover or have problems with his lover. Like, that's it. That's like, the legends have been reduced to just like shallow soap opera melodrama, and it's just like, Destiny was a lot cooler when, like, the stories were like, we got this problem, and it's not like a problem of emotion. It's a problem of, like, there's literally a giant alien in this, like, dungeon somewhere, and you have to stop him. Or, like, hey, these, like, zombie aliens are on the moon in a giant hell pit that they made, and they're doing arcane rituals to bring about, like, a god of destruction. Like, you need to go into their hell pit and stop them. Like, that's way, way more interesting than, like, Saint 14 is unsure of himself. Is he the real saint? The one that Osiris loves? It's like, I don't care. Nobody cares. I want Fogoth and the Hell Pit back. I wanted to check Destiny out, but it's like 100 gigabytes. Like, what? Well, to be fair, that's not exactly crazy nowadays. And considering the amount of content that is in Destiny, that's actually like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm actually surprised it's only 100 gigabytes. You know what? You know what does not get enough credit? Halo Infinite's install size. Do you remember Halo 5? Halo 5, it started out at 50 gigabytes when it released, and then by the time the like content drops were done for it, it was 100 gigabytes. So they added 50 entire gigabytes over the course of its lifespan. And then you cut to Halo Infinite, and it's like halved the file size, yet the actual graphics look better. Like, the texture quality is higher. Damn it, I was about to get that thing. Do you think Halo 5 will get left in the dust due to the story moving forward and there being no PC port? I hope that there's a PC port one day, because it would be a damn shame for Halo 5 to be awkwardly the only Halo game locked on Xbox. Get that thing onto Steam. Why is the crosshair so big? Mine? Or did you mean my little pistol? It's because I had an upgrade that gave it sniper rifle rounds. But now I need to go get health. I was about to say health rounds, but no, I don't want to be healing the enemies. I want to be killing them. Oof. Okay. This is bad. I'm out of ammo. That sounded like the start of a song. This is bad. I'm out of ammo. This thing's not too rough. I can kind of chill out and play the game with this thing. Because I want to talk to you guys. If you were to make a Halo set weapon skin for Quake Champions, would you derive all the skins from a single game or pick and choose multiple? Oh, a Halo set of weapon skins. I would probably, for money and greed, I would probably make multiple sets derived from Halo games. And I would try to really capture the aesthetic of each game, like, intensely. I want to see Forerunner style armor in Halo Infinite. Yeah, that's weird. I just noticed they don't have, like, they don't have Forerunner sets. Huh. I remember there were, like, talks from some ex-folk about them doing something, or, like, working on that. I mean, I know that as far as, like, Halo Infinite is concerned, a lot of the content that we see coming out of Halo Infinite, both the cosmetics and game modes and maps and stuff, some of this stuff is like 3 to 4 years old that's coming out, and it's only now releasing, and it's more or less like new content is done for Halo Infinite. Like they kind of like aren't making anything new, so it's just release what was already made. Yeah, so unless, years ago some kind of Forerunner skin was made, I doubt we'll see that ever released. Don't quote me on that, though. There's one Egyptian set that resembles Egyptian armor that's supposed to be Forerunner based, called like the Magistrate or something. Yeah, they're I like the new champion set. It's a DMR that kind of look. Oh, good, that wasn't Pumpkin. That was a controller on the ground. It looks kind of like a Forerunner device. Like, it makes the DMR look like it's a Forerunner thing. I like that quite a bit. Isn't Halo 4 the only game that has a specific Forerunner armor set? Yes. It is based off of the concept by Isaac Hannaford for a Forerunner Promethean, back during the Bungie days when a Promethean was very different. I think during the Bungie days, the Prometheans were a not like, warrior, sir, like throw everything you thought you knew, throw it all away, to quote those like old movie trailers. The Bungie interpretation of a Forerunner, like internally at the studio, from what I remember, was supposed to be that like Prometheans were soldiers for the Forerunners that would they would essentially, like, their armor was a part of their body. So it was kind of like you'd accept the thing, the piece of Forerunner technology, and then it would like grow onto you and like modify your internal organs and graft itself to you, and by the end of the transformation process, even your DNA is different. Like, you've become like a living weapon. And one of Joe Staten's stories, it's one of the like famous Halo games that never happened, was called Halo Chronicles. And the plot was going to be about you actually being a Marine who crash lands somewhere. He gets stranded somewhere with Covenant, and he finds a Promethean artifact. And it's like your guy is like dying or injured, or like he loses something like that. He like loses an arm, and he, to defend himself, picks up this Forerunner thing, and it attaches itself to his arm. And you'd get like superpowers from it. But over the course of the game, as you unlock new superpowers, the thing grows over the Marine's body, and you like unlock the ability to like transform yourself. Like, it was described as like being a living missile, like you're flying around the place and just smashing through things. And by the end of the campaign, the Marine that you started as is no longer human. Like, he's just become a Promethean. Like, the armor has completely consumed him, and now all that's left is like a living Forerunner weapon. And I believe that's what the concept art from Isaac Hannaford was exploring, of like what the transformation would be like at the end of the campaign for the little Marine dude. Drew, what if you were restricted to a single set? To a single set, then, I think I would try to embody like the iconic characteristics of the Halo franchise. So, like, okay, when I say Halo Battle Rifle, instantly I think of the Halo 2 Battle Rifle. So if one of the skins is going to be Halo, like Battle Rifle themed, it would have to be the Halo 2 incarnation. When you think of like Assault Rifle, I think of Halo 1. If there was like an LMG, you'd probably want to make it the SAW. Master Chief, I would probably make it kind of like a combination of the Halo 2 and Halo Infinite Chief. Maybe Halo Infinite Chief with the accordion feat of the Halo 2 Master Chief. Just joined your Discord. It's pretty cool. Oh, man. I haven't been active in that Discord for a while, so I hope it's cool. It's kind of lost... I've lost control of it a little bit. It's almost run on its own now. Almost sounds like District 9. You know, there's a funny story there. So Halo Chronicles was being concepted by Joe Staten around the same time as District 9. Or not District 9, the Halo movie. And then as we all know, that Halo movie fell through. It never happened. And then the props for that canceled Halo movie in the early 2000s were recycled for District 9. And District 9, you know, you can see like Halo props in that movie. And what's really sad is apparently Joe Staten could never watch District 9 because that movie also, now this can't be proven, okay? It allegedly stole a lot of his ideas for Halo Chronicles when that game project also fell through. So Joe Staten, it's very hard for him to watch District 9 because it's like a melting pot of the Halo ideas he could never get done. And just somebody else took them and actually made them happen. Oh, I guess that's how the story goes. Yeah, we can't have nice things. You know, and it's kind of interesting, like Joe Staten, so I'm also going to be starting a podcast, working on the logo right now for it. The current name that we have set is Warthog Radio. But something that is kind of interesting, I had a talk with the co-host who is going to be Laper Larden. He and I talked a lot about like Joe Staten's Halo, and Joe Staten had some like interesting ideas for Halo, and none of them were what Halo fans would consider Halo-y. I had talked with him about how Halo 2 was like pretty friggin' crazy. And, you know, if Joe Staten got his way, Halo 2 would have wrapped up the Master Chief story very neatly. And then you think after, you know, Halo 2, Joe Staten kind of like bugged out of Bungie and then began working on Halo Chronicles and stuff like that. And Halo Chronicles, I just told you, is a freaking wild story for a Halo game. But then didn't end up doing that. And what they ended up doing was Halo 3 ODST, which Joe Staten really worked on, which was this like weird noir detective game with a saxophone soundtrack about an ODST in a city who finds a cute little squid jellyfish and has to protect it from brutes. And it's like, that was a big story Joe Staten wanted to tell, and he liked it. He liked telling that story. And then he left, you know, and also left Bungie. And then he comes back to Halo, and what's the first story he immediately starts telling in Halo? Well, it's the multiplayer story. It's a story about how a Spartan gets a little tiki brute AI stuck in his head, and then the brute AI escapes and starts screwing around with like Slayer matches and like making Spartans fight each other. And then it hacks into a satellite and it's like, I'm gonna broadcast your location to the rest of my friends. And it's just like him, just like this stupid little harmless thing, but now it's gotten out of control because nobody took it seriously. And now everyone is in danger and this little tiki head is just like laughing maniacally. And it's like, Joe Staten was like a weird guy. He used Halo more as a canvas to paint things on, rather than an ongoing saga that needs to be kept very serious, self-serious. And it's interesting in hindsight, because Halo Infinite, I remember back when Halo Reach came out thinking, this game's kind of weird. Like, it's really serious. There's almost no humor in it, you know? And then Halo 4 came out, and it's like, this is weird. Why is Halo taking itself so damn seriously? You know, and over the course of the decade that 343 Industries had Halo, I just kind of got used to the fact Halo wasn't, like, funny anymore. And I don't mean funny as in people are saying jokes. I mean, like, funny stuff is happening to characters. Like, remember in Halo 1, one of Joe Staten's personal favorite cutscenes in Halo 1 is when Master Chief teleports into the Covenant ship. Then the camera rotates to reveal that Master Chief is upside down on the ceiling. And then he, like Bugs Bunny style, looks up and is like, oh. And then he falls and lands on his head. And that's Joe Staten's favorite cutscene in Halo 1. You know, and then I think of, like, ODST, and, like, Buck comically flips out of his drop pod like a cartoon character. Like, not like a human would. Like a cartoon character. He, like, bounces and rolls out of it. And then you go over to Halo Infinite, and it's, like, tiki heads shrieking about how it's going to kill everybody, and this is very comical and very silly. Like, Joe Staten was, like, a silly guy. And a decade of, like, very self-serious Halo made me forget how funny Halo used to be as a franchise, in terms of just gags and silly things happening. And it has me thinking now that, like, Halo Infinite, its story was so serious. Part of the shock, I think, of, like, that Halo, the live multiplayer story and how negatively it was received by the Halo community, I think it's also just because, like, the Halo community kind of forgot how funny Halo used to be. So it was a bit of like a whiplash tonally to be back to the silly Joe Staten hijinks. Did Joe like anything from the Reclaimer saga? Only thing I hear about is him as classic or scrapped Halo stuff. Not too sure. Joe Staten, I think Joe Staten was not ever very interested in Master Chief stuff and did not like Master Chief stuff. Just because, you know, for Bungie, Master Chief was like, they made Halo 1 and that game was a lot of fun, then they had to make Halo 2. And you can see in Halo 2 what most of Bungie was interested in was the Arbiter stuff, not the Master Chief stuff. So I don't think Joe Staten enjoyed kind of being trapped with Master Chief. And when I got a chance to speak to Joe Staten, like, once, and I said that the tone of the multiplayer story was very confusing because the campaign for Halo was very serious, all he said was, you're right, Halo Infinite does have a very serious campaign. And that's it. So, like, if you want to read between the lines and interpret it in your own way, have at it, Haas. I'm not going to do that because I don't know what he was thinking, but that's all I've ever gotten from him about how he felt about Halo Infinite was, yes, he did think it was a very serious story. I think Joe Staten, his favorite parts of Halo were always, like, the seedy underbelly of Oni. Because his Oni is very different from, like, 343 Industries' Oni. Like, his Oni was, like, dark black site experiments, like Men in Black disappearing people into the night, like, aliens held at Area 51 type stuff. That was his Oni. 343's Oni is a lot more, like, grounded within the fiction of Halo. You know, like, the presentation isn't too comical. And it's more like, you know, war crimes and experiments on children and that kind of stuff. When did you talk to Joe? I think it was shortly after Season 2 dropped. Like, at least when he was at the studio. Because he was, you know, like, active in the Halo community, tweeting, And he thankfully accepted one of my DMs. Like the Mona Lisa short. Yeah, sort of, maybe. But not even the Mona Lisa short. It's really hard to articulate. I'll probably have to like, I'll probably have to like really think about it and formulate some thoughts on it. What are we talking about? Like when he starts kissing the ground or anytime he interacts with the Master Chief? What are we talking about here? Halo Infinite does have some silly moments, mostly when the pilot is present. It does, but the presentation is not. Because of the one long, unbroken take, you can't have, like, pitch-perfect comedic timing. You can't have funny camera angles. You can't have jump cuts, you know? So it's just like a character does something or says something that's funny. But you don't actually have, like, funny situations, you know? Just like the visual gag of the Master Chief teleporting and then him looking up and then the camera rotates to reveal that Master Chief has actually been upside down this whole time and then he falls. Like that kind of cartoon stuff. Halo Infinite silliness is just like Marvel movie jokes. Sort of. Yeah, it is that kind of like, not really like, not like a setup and then a punchline type jokes, or like a silly visual gag type jokes, just a lot of like talking, like dialogue, like characters being flippant or dismissive of the situation that they're in. And not that that's bad, by the way, because Halo used to have that kind of humor a lot. Somebody actually described it really well. I've been watching this guy. His name's Kyle Bossman. He's very funny, by the way. Like, this guy, I think, is legit the funniest man alive at the moment. And he said about modern humor, he was like, I want to show you a cutscene from Elden Ring. And it was, his guy looked ridiculous, like his custom character. But because, like, the custom character is animated, you know, the same way each time, like, the custom character is taking the situation seriously. But it's, like, this, like, zombie-like thing, like grabs his wrist, and then his custom character looks down with this stone face at, like, the zombie thing grabbing his wrist, and he was like, this character, like, doesn't care about what's happening. And you know that not because the character is saying it. And he cut to, like, the new reboot for the Saints Row franchise where it's, like, Marvel quippy humor, like, capitalism bad, I've got to pay off my student loans. Which we all, you know, yeah, like, we don't like student loans and stuff. But the constantly talking about it is what makes the humor, like, annoying. And then you cut to Elden Ring where it's just... this guy looks ridiculous, and the humor is the fact that he and the world are taking everything very seriously, and just look at him. And it's like, yeah, that's the kind of humor where it's just ridiculous things happening to people who are taking the situation seriously, or silly people in serious situations, taking the situation seriously. You know, and I just think of Master Chief giving the Covenant back their bomb, where it's like, that's funny. Like, the Covenant, they have a bomb that's kind of shaped like a pickle, and Master Chief drags it to an airlock and then gets sucked out in the airlock and flies with it and directs it towards a Covenant ship, and then he backflips off of it and it blows up a ship, and then he lands on top of a nearby frigate. And it's like, it happened. I saw it. Like, it happened. And it wasn't like, you know, let me guess, the bomb's gonna start beeping when it's primed. Beep, beep. You know, you owe me $10. Like, there's none of that. Like, everybody's taking it seriously. Like, it's really happening. And you don't really have humor like that anymore. And that might be the next, like, wave of humor. Because I think people are starting to get really tired of the Marvel quips. For a brick, he flew pretty good. Yeah, it deflates everything. It's like tying a nice bow over everything. You know, and then it also, what helps about that for a brick he flew pretty good line is it like reminds you that you're not crazy. That like what you just saw Master Chief with the pickle bomb, like that was real. And yes, it was very weird and dumb and silly. And the game knows it and it reminds you of it. But that doesn't mean that it was stupid. It can be both funny and stupid. And just Johnson's quote was like the perfect little like, yep, yeah. Is Bro playing on mouse and keyboard? Bro is playing on mouse and keyboard. The best humor is a joke that you can take seriously if the joke doesn't land. Halo does a lot of that, like the upside down scene, inoffensive if you don't care about the joke. Yeah. And there is also like a lot of just like funniness. And it is quippy. Like, it is quippy. You know, we were talking about the Marvel humor. But what I'm curious about, maybe you guys can help me because I'm struggling to articulate it. I was thinking about this for a very long time after realizing that, like, Joe Staten wrote funny Halo stories. And maybe that's what was so crazy about the live service story of Halo Infinite multiplayer. That it was like we were back to the silly stories. Like, okay. There's a line in Halo 2, which is Cortana is talking about, she was like, this architecture is really interesting. It's some kind of amphitheater, maybe like I forgot what she said exactly. She was like a gathering spot for some kind. And then she pauses and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Were you trying to shoot something? Because, like, Master Chief's a big dummy, you know? But it's like, imagine a Marvel movie. That's like something Tony Stark would say. Exactly. Like, nothing would change about it. It's a Marvel-y, like, quip. But why is it not annoying, I guess, like a Marvel movie? That line, you know? Or Nathan Fillion, like Buck. You know, Buck is basically a Marvel character. So why isn't he annoying? This cave is not a natural formation. That's not a joke. That's an accident. That was an accidental line. Oh, we had two sticks and a rock. The humor there, okay, we are so fucking stupid, by the way. We're like, the reason the joke is funny is because of the reason that joke is very funny is it's the specificity of it. Because it's like Johnson is like yelling at Marines, recruits, and stuff. Like he's like yelling and screaming at them and stuff. And he's telling this story and it's specific. He's like, back when I was in training, we only had two sticks. What was it? We only had two sticks and a rock, and we had to share the rock. Where it's just like, it's a very specific thing he's yelling about. And it's just like, what? Like, what? Conan O'Brien is really good at that kind of humor. Where it's Conan O'Brien's humor is incredibly specific. I saw this great line about it where it was like, what makes Conan O'Brien so funny? And he was talking about it was like Animal Crossing characters or something. And he was like, the Animal Crossing characters appear like they've been abducted by a mad scientist who replaced their arms with spoons. And then, yeah, like their arms look like spoons. And because it's such a weirdly specific thing to say, that's what makes it really funny. And the sincerity of it, So it's like Johnson screaming and yelling about how he and his whole platoon had to make do with two sticks, and then specifically pointing out that the rock they all had to share. Halo 5 made Buck a Marvel character. Not really. I mean, Halo 5, I think the worst thing about it was that Buck was fairly boring. Like, his personality was extremely toned down in Halo 5. It didn't really feel like Buck. He was very boring and static, kind of. And for some reason, he had, like, a southern accent sometimes. It was really odd. He was like, I miss being an ODST. And it's like, why are you talking like that, dude? Buck doesn't have a southern accent. Or like, Tanaka, you want to say a few words? It's like, what? Stop. Why are you talking? Like, Nathan Fillion does not have a southern accent. Why is he talking like that? The most Buck felt like Buck, I think, in the Halo 5 campaign is when that sheriff, like the AI sheriff, is like screaming at you over the radio, and he's like, the Spartans, we hate the UNSC. You can get and then the radio cuts out. And then you do like a bunch of stuff, and he's like, Spartans, well, now that you're here, you might as well help us out. Can you go? And Buck is like, wow, that was a really big change up from get off my planet to, hey, can you help? Like, that was funny. Because it's like, yeah, he did change. Now he's asking us to do all this stuff. Buck and ODST, basic sergeant character. Not really. He's like the weary, like, old detective who's ready to retire in ODST. He's all about like the good old days. And just kind of being weary by all of it. And it's especially, like, romance stories get very exhausting because of how seriously they take it themselves. So it was very refreshing that, like, the romance stuff in ODST was pretty, like, silly and lighthearted for the most part. It was, like, a trope, basically. It was, like, like, he has to work with an old ex-lover. And so it's just, like, a lot of, like, like everything they say to each other is like a thinly veiled slight against each other, but not like oosh, that was harsh, but like, tea. Like very lighthearted, very like, very just, ooh, there's tea there. I play ODST on heroic, grenade spam, upgraded rank, and upgraded fire rate. Jesus Christ, my man. The type of humor also makes sense because real-life soldiers are often kids or people who use humor like that. I think it's neat, like watching those old VHS tapes. Well, the difference, I think, also is that, like, the situation they're in can't be funny because it's real, whereas Halo is not real, so it can have funny situations, such as Master Chief teleporting into the heart of the Covenant City, and then a little grunt sees him and takes out a needler, and all Master Chief does is say, boo. And then the grunt is like, and like throws the needler up into the air and starts running. So Buck is Halo's Tom Cruise. Yeah, but Buck is... Well, I mean, he's basically every character Nathan Fillion plays, which is very, like, quippy and Marvel-esque. I guess I'm wondering why it is that, like, with Buck, the quipping works. Why it's not cringy. Maybe it's kind of like Tony Stark, where it's like Robert Downey Jr. is so damn good at the quips. Just because of, like, his personality type. And his acting abilities. He's just naturally good at it. And the problem with Marvel quippiness is now everybody quips, and not everybody is really good at the quipping. It only works with certain characters. Like, yeah. Thor quipping is very annoying. Captain Marvel quipping is very annoying. Captain America quipping is very annoying. But Iron Man quipping can be pretty funny. But then it's Captain America, or not Captain America, Iron Man quipping in the Marvel's Avengers game. That was very annoying because it wasn't Robert Downey Jr. Buck wasn't always cringy like he is now. Buck wasn't even cringy in Halo 5, man. Like I think a lot of people need to replay Halo 5 and like take off like the criticism glasses for a second and just play Halo 5. Buck's fine. He's inoffensive, and that's what's kind of odd. Buck isn't very funny in Halo 5. Buck is also a bit more cynical. That's true. Yeah, he is a bit cynical. Yeah, Nathan Fillion's acting and not being in the entire game. Evolution of Buck when? Buck was safe in Halo 5, which I'm very happy with personally. I'd rather a safe entry than a teardown of the character. Yeah, but it's also like, I guess I'm thinking of like money. Nathan Fillion probably cost a pretty penny for them to use. And I don't think they got their money's worth in Halo 5. You see some of the conversations that are being had. Charisma. Yeah, I guess charisma. Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, maybe the honest answer is just the perfect team. Good cinematographers, good writers, good casting directors. And that's also something in a lot of, not just games, but also I think like most media. I think you need to have, like, there needs to be a little bit more strictness with, at least for Halo, with, like, casting. Because sometimes it feels like there are a lot of missed opportunities due to the casting. Like, characters are not cast in roles that I think, or voice actors are not cast in roles that I think really highlights their strengths. Or they are chasing after voice actors who maybe not necessarily should be in a Halo game because Halo isn't what they're really good at. I think of, like, Jennifer Hale in Halo. I don't think Halo was the right game franchise for Jennifer Hale because she's more of a, like, serious actor, right? Like, I think serious roles are where Jennifer Hale shines, whereas Palmer in Halo, I think Palmer felt almost like her kind of, like, phoning it in. Where I think, could you imagine if we hired somebody who was a little bit more Sergeant-esque, a little bit more yelly and angry, but was, like, professionally great at being like that. Like, who... I, for the life of me, cannot remember her name. Deborah Wilson. The one who plays the Harbinger. She's really good at, like, the talking somebody down in a commanding role, but it being funny. Like, she's really good at that. She probably should have been Halsey. And Halsey, or not Halsey, sorry, Palmer, and it would have worked. Love the buck talk. Here you go, Mr. Late Night Gaming, says Zetronic Gaming. Dude, I appreciate that. That's really kind of you. I appreciate the buck talk, too. He is definitely worse in Halo 5. He shouldn't have been there to begin with. Well, he originally wasn't in Halo 5. The original role was Gabriel Thorne, if you remember from Spartan Ops. The original team was Thorne, Locke. No, it was Thorne, and then... God, now I'm confusing my stories. Maybe Buck was always there. Maybe it wasn't Locke. I think Gabriel Thorne was originally in replace of Locke. And, I mean, I get why they replaced Gabriel Thorne, because Gabriel Thorne was not, you know... He was kind of just like a good boy. And that was his whole character. Not like the most compelling. And with Agent Locke, I get it. A little bit of what they were going for. They were trying to get like this like secretive government agent type guy. Somebody with, you know, like his past is written in black ink. Or is covered up in black ink. You know, somebody who is very secretive, who's done a lot of illegal things that we'll never hear about for the good of his government. But unfortunately, Halo 5 cast Mike Coulter in that role. And Mike Coulter sucked. He sucked so bad in that role. Huge miscast there. And then they replaced his voice with, what's his name? I forgot his name, the voice actor. And that guy had to kind of like voice act around Mike Coulter. And so that guy was just held back. Like an otherwise incredible voice actor was held back by a kind of bland performance. Trying to think out of who I would have, what would be like a really good actor who could have like brought out the kind of like ex-government agent, you know, mysterious past type character that Locke was concepted as. Because it could have worked. You just needed somebody who was really good at a role like that. Isn't Locke dead? No, Locke's fine. Locke is fine. Do you think the Prometheans are done going forward? I think they're done. I don't think you can do anything else with them. Like, their story is kind of like unless they show up for like a level, the Prometheans are not relevant to Halo's story anymore. It's kind of like the Didact, you know? It would be very like weird if the Didact came back, and it would feel kind of like it came out of left field. And the same with the Prometheans. Yeah, like the Covenant, Prometheans, all of that stuff is done. Going forward, if they are to continue Halo Infinite story, it's the Endless, the Banished, because they did set up in Halo Infinite that the Banished now have kind of been radicalized. Like, in Atriox's absence, and then Escherum's kind of, like, charge, Escherum has kind of radicalized the Banished and almost unintentionally brought about the very thing Atriox tried to steer his Banished away from, which is, like, radicalization and semi-worship of leader figures. And Escherum is constantly trying to kind of like maintain hold over the Banished to make sure there's no infighting, as well as maintain control, radicalizing them around the image of Atriox. And then Escherum gets killed. Well, it's like now the Banished are going to be out for blood. They're going to be like, remember Escherum, remember Atriox. Like, kill the demon, he killed like our leader. Oh, like Hellspawn. Like, they kind of... It's like history repeating itself, which is very interesting thematically, and I hope they do something interesting with it. And then you got the Endless that you got to deal with now. Not a fan of Banished going kill all humans. I'm a big fan of that. I think Halo is a lot of fun when the villains are just villains. Like, none of this gray area BS, to quote Buck from Halo 5. I think, like, there needed to be a good reason for the Banished to hate the human race. And I think the destruction of their planet's a very damn good reason. Like, the Brute homeworld being destroyed by Cortana, an AI built by humans. That's a pretty good reason. Yeah, if I was a Brute, I think I'd want to destroy an entire species if they blew up my home planet, you know? Let me go grab that red grunt. All right. Ooh, come on, come on, come on. I need to get it. It's an insta-kill. There we go. Okay. Good, 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 good. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of good, proper stuff set up for the future of Halo's story in Halo Infinite. It's up to 343 to execute on it, though. But it does seem like, as for right now, they may be going the Resident Evil route, which is continuing the main story while also remaking the stories of old with new technology to catch up a new generation. I need to get more ammo, or I will die. Okay. My palms are sweating. We got our boys back up though, which is good. How are these guys doing? I should probably share my points with them. Is it worth it to install Halo Infinite with this update? Because last time I tried to get back into a game, it would take 40 minutes to find a match. Yeah, try it out. I think Halo Infinite is in a pretty decent spot right now. Well, more about the part of them being fanatical. I liked them as asshole barbarians. Oh, what we're talking about with the Banished? I do definitely think that the Banished need, they need to bump up a little bit the emphasis on them being basically kind of like Vikings. Because, you know, that Halo Wars 2 cutscene introducing the Banished, where Atriox completely fucks up one of their shit, the Spartan team, and then they leave the building they're in. They run away from Atriox because they can't kill him. And then they go outside, and the entire canyon they're in, like the top of the canyon walls, are just like thousands of brutes all like cheering and whoo, 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 you know, like just making scary noises at them and like chanting. Like it was like, yeah, it was like an angry frat party of monkeys found you, and they're about to shove your head into a toilet, all of them. Like, there's just something very intimidating about that energy. And in Halo Infinite, they're very, they focus more on their words in Halo Infinite, I guess is the way that I'd put them. Like, they never do anything inherently, like, violent, you know? Like, when Eshram, it's like, you know, are you not angered? And then, no, I feel invigorated. And then it's like, you know, Atriox is dead. This is all his fault. And then Eshram just says, the Banished will never bow to anyone. Blah, 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 blah. And it's just so much talking. I feel like the Banished from Halo Wars 2, it would have started like a monkey bar fight. Like, they would have been throwing each other through like computer consoles and like shrieking like wild animals at each other to solve their differences, you know? A reboot would honestly suck so bad for Halo. I don't think a reboot would be terrible, but a retelling I don't think would be the worst thing ever. Like, starting over from Halo 1 and retelling that story with modern technology. Like Resident Evil 2 style, you know? That could work. Because also the next Halo is going to be on, it's going to be on PlayStation. So getting everybody caught up to speed, because guys, I'm going to tell you something really sad, okay? The Fortnite kids, Halo's too old for them. They look at that game and they say, ew, the graphics look like poop. You know, and they see like, good to see you, Master Chief. Things aren't going well. And it's like, why is that man made out of 4 triangles? Like, they're not going to have the patience. Like, I think, though, what is unfortunate is I think the only real Halo game that could benefit from, like, modifications would be Halo 1. Because Halo 1, it is of a time period and technology where they're really just... You look at those cutscenes, and it's like the game struggled to have characters shake hands, you know? Like, that was the technology they were working with. And I think that Halo 1 would benefit the most from them, like, expanding scenes, updating them with new animations. But the problem also is, like, the writing is very sharp. Like, the writing was never, ever the problem. And Halo 2, that's a game where you can't touch it too much because there isn't a single scene in Halo 2 that I think needs, like, dialogue modification, you know? Like, every single thing that anybody says in that campaign is, like, important. There was only one ship. Are you sure? Yes, they call it the Pillar of Autumn. Why was it not destroyed with the rest of their fleet? It fled as we set fire to their planet. Could you imagine removing, like, any of that? It is entirely possible for a reboot or reboot via retelling a story, like the Resident Evil 2 remake. It's very possible that that can work. It just needs to be done like Resident Evil 2. Because if it isn't, then we're in trouble. Because right now, where Halo is as a franchise, as an IP, it's coasting off of games, one of which is rapidly approaching the age of 30. And that's not good, okay? Like, the only other franchise I can think of that did that was, like, the Terminator franchise. And that franchise is in a bad spot. I know that there's apparently that the Terminator anime that was recent, that's apparently pretty good, but that's an anime. I don't think that, like, restarted the Terminator IP, you know? Because so far, Terminator hasn't really had a massive box office success since, like, Terminator 2, I think, like 100 years ago or whatever. Like, that's not the sign of, like, a healthy franchise, you know? And unless Halo wants to go the way of Terminator, where it's got constant bombs and its only success is, like, a pretty good anime on Netflix, and that's it. Halo's got to figure out its shit fast, whether it's a retelling of the original stories with updated technology, you know, so that the modern kids these days won't be like, ew, what is this, an Atari game? Oh man, Halo 3 without Michael Wincott would be interesting. See, that's the stuff where there is a lot of potential. Where you could have a little bit more continuity between the trilogy. But it's also important that you don't modify or accidentally scrub away the things that made the stories important. You have to expand, not even expand, just make them even more entertaining. You know? Because I also worry about, like, expansion. Like, God forbid, if Master Chief becomes, like, a sad boy in the Halo CE remake. You know, where it's like, Master Chief, what's wrong? I was abducted when I was 7. Like, that's going to be awful. That's going to be so bad. And I really hope that's not what happens. Modern kids don't know what an Atari is. That's true. God, there was this back in 2018, I want to say. I worked at a used game and record store, and there were a group of kids that came in. I forgot which generation that was, but they were recording the N64 games, and they were like, "This is crazy. Look at this stuff. Is this what VHS is?" And I felt like my head hurt, you know? Like, I was very upset. Very, very upset when I heard that. Oh boy, packet loss. This is such a good spot to hold out on this map, by the way. Were there supposed to be other players with you? They're probably all dead. Let me see if I can get them back up. Help! I say help! Get up, guys. Tech Pawn, by the way, buddy, I see you're still in the game. If this is, like, thoroughly miserable for you, playing this, because you can't get back up, you know? You are free to quit, okay? I'm not going to force you to stay here. Because I do know that this game, at a certain wave, if you die, you can't get back up on your feet. Here, let me distribute some of my points for you guys, so you guys can get a bit of a boost. There you go. Okay, get yourself armored up if you need to. I love this vibe that the youth of today are absolute Neanderthals. Kids play Half-Life. Kids play System Shock. It's just the same minority as it's always been. It is a minority, but if you want your game to be successful, it can't appeal to minority players that are like playing games like Half-Life. You gotta get the huge audience that's, you know, grinding out their battle passes in like Apex Legends and stuff. Because those kids that are playing Half-Life today, man, they're cultured. They're civilized. They're like, yes, I will have that crowbar. I will be a Gordon Freeman. How would people feel if the Combat Evolved remake had a completely new cast, like the RE remakes? Man, I'd hate that a lot. I'd hate that a lot. And I am not the leader? Why not? Here, Tech Pawn, for some reason I think you're the leader, buddy. Can you make me the leader again? It would be in their best interest to make to try to keep the original cast. Half-Life had a lot of good humor with the scientists and characters like Father Grigori. Yeah. Good to see you, Freeman. Ridiculous ties. They're waiting for you, Gordon, in the test chamber. Death Stick, the gravity hammer. Oh, is that like a Star Wars reference? The Death Stick. Pooping pills? That's pretty good. Yeah, just, you know. If you want your game to do well, like do gangbusters, you gotta try to make it widely accessible to people. The term modern audience is a thing that a lot of angry internet weirdos have grappled onto as the scary boogeyman that they're scared of. But Modern Warfare 2, the reason that game was successful back in 2009 is because it appealed to the modern audience of 2009. Uh-oh. I think Halo Infinite crashed. Yep, there we go. Here, we'll boot it back up, okay? Every game that was ever successful, or every movie that was ever successful, appealed to the audience of that day. And this whole like crazy internet like culture war thing of like, you know, like the modern audience doesn't exist. It's like, no, they exist. Remember Avengers Infinity War? That was made for the modern audience of the year that it released in. That's why it made so much money. It was focus group tested to hell. The reason that a lot of games nowadays are flopping is because they were bad video games that anybody could have told you was not going to appeal to folk. What is going on? Halo Infinite is just like Crash City tonight. Here, let's try again. In before the CE remake recasts everyone in a disgruntled player. Disgruntled players respond by modding them out using AI-generated voices to prove a point or something. Yeah, basically. It's like, this sucks. This is bad. To prove a point, I'm going to remove voice actors from the game and replace everyone with AI. That'll show them. That'll show you how much respect I have for the original game. I used AI. I asked earlier, but what's the anti-cheat bug? On PC, after a couple of matches, sometimes it'll accidentally flag your game as being in violation of the anti-cheat policy. So, like, it thinks that your game is modded for some reason. That's the best way it's been described to me. Like the easy anti-cheat, something is setting it off. And there's nothing you can do about it. What you can do to fix it is load into a single-player instance. So hop into the firing range, then hop back, and the game will be fine. Rumors that Concord may return. I hope Concord stays in the dirt, because the reason Concord failed was not because of the $40 price tag. It failed because it looked like a game that nobody wanted and nobody asked for. We've already got Overwatch. We've already got Destiny Crucible. We've already got Guardians of the Galaxy. Why does it say 343 Industries when you start Halo Infinite? Who is that? Those are the third-party studios that assisted the development of Halo Infinite. It's not a who, it's a who is that, it's a who are they. Microsoft had to get the help of 343 different game development studios to get this game made. A big problem with live service games is they take so long to make. Yeah, it's like the inherent issue of like developing something for a current trend is, well, developing something takes time. So by the time it comes out, the trend is over, you know? It's like, did you guys know that, I think it was Sony? I think it was Sony. They had, like, the copyright to meme the movie. Meme the movie? It was like, there were like rumors that in 2014 they wanted to make like Trollface the movie. Like stuff that makes your skin crawl. A good example is Suicide Squad. Oh yeah, Suicide Squad is, oof. Emoji Movie. Oh god, the Emoji Movie. Jesus Christ. The Emoji Movie is like disgusting. Like conceptually, that is disgusting. The Emoji Movie, man, if we want to rant about studio projects and stuff, Sony is a studio that I hate so much. Like their movies are comically bad, but thanks to my wife, we saw Morbius and we were very delighted by Morbius. Have not seen Madam Web, but we did see it via TikToks. And now my wife and I are waiting, very, very eagerly waiting for the release of Kraven the Hunter. And we hope it will be bad. My hope is that Sony will never stop making these terrible live-action Spider-Man villain standalone movies, and that they will not stop flopping at the box office. I hope they keep making them. I hope Marvel never gets back the film rights to Spider-Man, because I would rather live in a world where we get Morbiuses and Madam Webs every couple of years in the theaters than I would one where we get, like, semi-competent MCU Spider-Man movies constantly. Sonic 3 movie sweep. Dude, Sonic 3 looks so good. And you know, I rewatched the Sonic 1 movie last night with my Shih Tzu. We had, like, a little movie party. We were browsing Netflix. And it was like, oh, Sonic movie is on Netflix. I remember I poo-pooed it on a stream a while ago because I was still high off of Sonic Forces making Sonic cool, or Sonic Frontiers. Oh, boy. Sonic fans are going to roast me for that one. Sonic Frontiers making Sonic cool again. And I was like, but the Sonic movie makes him like a baby. And then I rewatched it last night again, and I was like, you know what? The Sonic movie's pretty good. Jim Carrey's great. He is such a good Dr. Eggman. Oh boy. Sorry, I'm focusing right now. Okay. Check the chat. I hate that Sony made Spider-Verse. No, Spider-Verse, give it to them. Spider-Verse is really good. If it wasn't for Sony, nobody in pop culture would care about Miles Morales. Because the only people who cared about Miles Morales were specifically comic book fans. And thanks to Spider-Verse, Miles Morales has now become, like, the new Peter Parker. You know, like, kids are going to grow up now, and they're going to be, like, nostalgically talking about Miles Morales. Like a lot of us did growing up and nostalgically talking about, like, Peter Parker. Yeah, so give Sony props. Spider-Verse was great. Also, make sure to give Sony props for the Venom movies, Morbius, Madam Web, and hopefully Kraven the Hunter. You talk about kids being uncultured, yet you just call Dr. Robotnik Eggman. Because that's his name, and it always was. Robotnik was a westernization thing for the original Sonic games. His name was always Dr. Eggman. Mobius, you hear me? The planet Mobius? That is stupid. That is dumb bad. Mobius is dumb, and Sonic is better for never mentioning Mobius ever again. Sonic takes place on the planet Earth, and he fights Dr. Eggman. Hold on, Venom was good. Was it? Venom was like more entertaining than it was good. Although I'll have to watch it with my wife to get my true opinion. As any married man who is happily married can probably attest. Usually your true opinions don't form until you see your wife react to something. I know his name was always Dr. Eggman. I'm just messing with you. I'm probably super biased, but the Venom movies go against everything the character is. Well, it's hard to say because, like any character in a long-running comic book franchise that has been around for like 100 years, Venom was like a character born from like the 80s. And by the time those Venom movies were made, Venom was like approaching the age of 25, 30. No, almost 40, right? So Venom, like, he's been through a lot of characterizations. Like, I saw that Venom, like, symbiotes were revealed to be like good, wise, like noble creatures that were enslaved, and then their species was corrupted, and I'm just like, that is comically stupid. That is so bad and dumb. That this just like it's just a parasite. It's just an alien parasite thing. It's like no, but like they have this crazy complicated backstory where space Satan used them and made a sword and enslaved their. It's like, shut up, just shut up. Yeah, so saying that like those Venom movies are not true to his character, it's like, which version of his character, dude? Which one? There's been so many. Yeah, Robotnik means worker or slave in is it Polish? You know, if they were ever to recast Mike Pollock, you know, Mike Pollock's Dr. Eggman, if he ever has to bow away from the role, I think a Dr. Eggman recast with like a Russian accent or a German accent would go very, very hard. My reasoning, okay, is there is a version of Dr. Octopus from, you know, I say Dr. Octopus and everyone thinks of Alfred Molina, is that his name? The actor? You know, the Peter. In the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s, before like Alfred Molina kind of solidified Dr. Octopus as being like the sad, troubled, tortured father figure that turned into a supervillain, Dr. Octopus was just like a crazy maniacal scientist who wanted to use his robot tentacles to rob banks. And the animated Spider-Man, he had a German accent for some reason. So he had this stupid bowl haircut and these stupid sunglasses and this goofy green jumpsuit and orange boots. And then he's just like, Spider-Man, my tentacles will rip you limb from limb. I want to rob banks. Like, I'm like, you know what? Dr. Eggman would go hard if he had like a Russian or a German accent of some kind. I find it pretty neat how Sonic was a character that is basically Sniper Wolf from Metal Gear, who was part of a team that was basically the Foxhound unit. In the Western Sonic show, right? Oh my god, I am ill-equipped for this round. Let's go upgrade this pistol. Holy mother of pearl. Okay. Okay, good. We got the upgrade we wanted. I just finished playing Red Dead 2. No spoilers. I don't know, Jack. Because that game, it earned that respect. I thought Space Satan made the symbiotes intentionally evil. It's something stupid like that. It's like, listen, if your aliens end up having this insanely convoluted backstory that involved, like, God or, like, Space Satan or something, like, just stop. Just let Venom be, like, a goo monster from another planet. Long John Baldry's Dr. Robotnik from The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog will forever be my favorite version of the character. He's just the best. Yeah, he is extremely good. That's the one that did the snooping as usual, I see. Robotnik. That's the one, right? Yeah, I really like that incarnation of Eggman. I also don't mind, this is a pretty wild take. It's not the best version, okay? But I do not mind the version of Dr. Eggman from Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. I think it is fun that version of Dr. Eggman is like a cultured gentleman. Like, if the game wasn't rated E, I could see him, like, sipping on a glass of, like, expensive wine. Like, him abducting people isn't like, you know, it's like, you know, Princess of Soliana, my name is Dr. Eggman. Right this way, if you please. Like, he's just like a nice gentleman. His suit fits him very well. Wouldn't the door have been easier? There's a lot of different versions of Eggman. Eggman's just like a fun character to have different interpretations of. Doesn't Halo's aliens involve God stuff? Yeah, like, if I start talking about the precursors too much out loud, I start to feel embarrassed. But it also I think it depends on the person what your threshold is, I guess, for that stuff. Because I do think the precursor stuff in the Halo books is pretty good. Still do prefer the idea of the Forerunners being humans. Because that twist would have gone really hard. Whisper the Wolf for old teammates included a large lion with a minigun. Gotcha, okay. Interesting. As far as interpretations go, included a large lion with a minigun as Psychic Monkey, an octopus stealth operative, and a revolver-wielding ocelot characters. Like animal characters. Got it. That's fun. That is fun. Why does the Eggman outfit have nipples, though? It doesn't have nipples in Sonic 06. It's unfortunately something that probably should have been. It's. Okay, they have the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. They can now have, like, detail on character models, you know, that aren't just a texture. So Dr. Eggman, like the buckles that are on his flight suit, they can now make them more detailed. They don't have to just be kind of like, I always thought they looked like little scrapes of butter, you know, just like little yellow nuggets of butter. They can actually make them look detailed, like proper buttons and buckles and stuff. And unfortunately, the buckle type that they went with looks very unfortunate due to its position on his chest. Look, if you guys are confused and you're like, why are we talking about Dr. Eggman's nipples? Look up Dr. Eggman Sonic 06. It was a well-intentioned but unfortunately flawed redesign of him to make him look kind of photorealistic. Does Sonic have alien god stuff? Sonic does have alien god stuff. And thankfully, like, Sonic, I think, is very, Sonic operated almost on, like, Dragon Ball Z type coolness. So the god stuff was kind of, like, there from the start. So it's like, you know, it never felt out of place. It was just kind of like, well, of course there was, like, this ancient alien god thing. That's Sonic. Every single game has to introduce something that is insane. Like, canonically within the lore of Sonic, every every 1 million years the planet Earth cracks open and a demon god of darkness fights on the surface of the fractured planet with a god of light. And the god of light then drags it back into the molten core of the earth, and then the two slumber for 1 million years, gaining back their power. And this cycle has been going on for eons. And that's just like, that's a Sonic game! You know, the guy who likes the rings! Satan showed up in Shadow the Hedgehog 2005. Okay, we're talking about thresholds, right? That's something I go back and forth on. On one hand, Shadow the Hedgehog, the video game, is very cool. Okay, I'll say it. I'll throw myself into the fire. I think Shadow the Hedgehog is a very cool aesthetic. I like the motorcycle. Yes, I even like Shadow holding a Glock. Like, I think that goes very hard. But I don't know how I feel about Shadow was the ultimate life form built off of a mural that depicted Supersonic fighting a water god. But also he was built with alien DNA. It's the also he was built with alien DNA part that I'm like, that maybe wasn't needed. That's a little bit dumb. Because Shadow was, like, already cool, you know? You didn't need to make him, like, and he was made with alien DNA, you know? Like, it wasn't needed. It comes across as, like, you know, you guys didn't think Shadow was cool enough. Normal Sonic activities, yeah, yeah. Why haven't you done the evolution of Halo's main menus? You could talk about their ease of use, style, sound, etc. I think I've done a tier list, but I could probably do something like that. But it probably wouldn't. I don't think I could do like an evolution video, like something that in depth, because that would be pretty exhausting, and it would be outside of my wheelhouse. I'd be talking about things I don't have authority to speak on, like UI design. You know, as well as like the inherent issue of like, technically, Halo UIs have only gotten better over time. Like navigating them has only gotten like easier over time. And there are more things that you can do, but aesthetically, maybe not so much. As well as like Halo UIs now have more features than they used to. Not talking about things like obviously Halo Reach, I think was the gold standard for Halo UIs in terms of things you can access. But Halo Infinite's, there are things in there like individual audio sliders, you know, a more comprehensive brightness slider, accessibility options. Where Halo Reach was more or less like, what do you want your sensitivity to be? Medium? Medium 3? Low? In my opinion, it would be cool to see Metal Gear Solid characters interpreted in Sonic. Imagine a railgun-toting Black Panther with inordinate luck, a mad bomber puffer fish on roller skates, and literal immortal vampire bat. Yeah, Sonic would go pretty hard if it started, like, not being as embarrassed about the fact that it's Sonic the Hedgehog and started to get more into that kind of, like, shonen, like, I wish Sonic would stop. You know, this, like, I'm not a weeb, okay? I'm not, I promise. But I do wish Sonic would stop trying to kind of appeal, not appeal, but use Western sensibilities for what is, like, fun or cool or endearing, and started to use a little bit more, like, shonen, like, kind of Dragon Ball, like, anime type stuff. Because I think Sonic was a lot more fun when it took itself seriously. Or, you know, not seriously, but, like, hopefully you understand what I meant. Sonic is starting to do that again. Sonic is, and I'm very grateful about that. Though I do think this is but a simple critique to improve on something that I am enjoying at the moment, is I do think Sonic could have a little bit more edge to him, because Ian Flynn writes Sonic as very noble, and I think Sonic is a guy who can get a little bit hot-headed. Not all the time, okay? But, you know, sometimes. High damage AR really shreds in this mode. It does really shred, but it's not good for long-term success. I love it when Steitzer goes, all that juice! Oh boy. Foof, 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 foof. I was about to burst into a Halo song. Foof, 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 foof. Foof, 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 foof. Foof, 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 foof. Hey, LNG, how you liking the zombies mode? I love it. I love it a lot. I really, really, really like it. It's probably my favorite playlist in Halo Infinite at the moment. It's up there with Squad Battle and Firefight King of the Hill for me. As well as Oddball. I really like Halo Infinite's Oddball. Not good. I don't want this thing. This thing gets me killed. Hey, late night. Thought I'd drop in and say, hey, the wife and I are watching right now. Hey, that's fun. No game audio? There should be game audio, is there not? I can probably fix that. Can't wait to hear Crush 40 on the big screen. There's a part of me that's very worried Sonic 3 is not going to use Crush 40. I don't know if you guys... So, it was Andrew who brought it to my attention that there is a drama with the composer of the Sonic movies, and not in, like, the good kind. Don't worry, like, the Sonic composer isn't, like, anything, like, awful or scary. It's just, like, the guy has creative priorities that are maybe not the things Sonic needs. It sounds like the composer of the Sonic movies really doesn't like using other people's themes, and he prefers to make original themes, and he also prefers that soundtracks are written for the movie, like they don't operate standalone. So it's like he just makes very safe, very bland, but absolutely on point only for the scene that they're in songs. Like, they're unlistenable kind of on their own because they sound very boring because they are written for action that you're not seeing right now, you know? And I'm very worried that Sonic Movie 3 will not use Crush 40. If you like more dramatic stories, check out the Metal Virus arc from the IDW comics. Yeah, I read, you know. I hope the comics industry doesn't catch on it. But I watched a YouTube guy who just uploaded it. You know, I need to put my money where my mouth is. I will buy those IDW Sonic comics eventually. Because I want to reward good behavior. But, yeah, the Metal Virus stuff was really cool. Don't forget that they used the Emerald Hill Zone for the Sonic 2 teaser, and they just didn't put it in the movie. Yep. I am fully expecting a very bland, very safe, very... Like, the Sonic movie, you know, I told you I watched it last night with my Shih Tzu. Like, the music, none of it was bad. You know, none of it was, like, took me out of the scene. But the problem was I had to remember that there was a soundtrack, and Sonic is known for having good music. And then I noticed that the movie has very boring music playing. Like Dr. Eggman's theme in those Sonic movies, when he's getting out of, like, his big Transformers truck, and it's like Jim Carrey, they're doing this like theme, you know, this like bomb, 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 like the, you know, it's the bad guy's here. I couldn't hum it to you. I don't remember the theme. Nothing about it was original or unique or even melodic. It was just like, you know, bad guy sounding music for the scene with the bad guy. You know, that's that Eggman song from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. Bum bum ba bum 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 ba bum ba bum bum bum. I still remember it because it's bad guy music that is melodic and very earwormy. I feel like if they released Forge and custom games servers that release Halo Infinite wouldn't have been such a flop. Yes, I agree. I don't think it would have been enough, because honestly, I think part of the reason that, Halo Infinite was not the success Xbox and 343 were hoping for, part of it is also, I think, just player interest in these kinds of games. I said before, what kids are playing nowadays? Like, when they get home from school, they're not saying, like, hey, Joey, you want to team up with me and 2 other guys so that we can steal the flag from 4 other guys? Like, that's not the kind of game kids are super into anymore. These, 4v4 team-based shooters. Some people say arena shooters. I would not call Halo an arena shooter. But, what kids really want nowadays, I've described it in the past as a digital Chuck E. Cheese, where it is less of a game and more of, a place to hang out, to spend money in. So massive maps, adventures you can go on, show off your skin that you bought, maybe do an emote, bully one of your buddies into spending some money so he can look cool like you guys, and then you guys go to the Tilted Towers. Tom Hulkenberg, a.k.a. Junkie XL, he composed the Sonic films, both King Kong, I think Godzilla vs. King Kong. He made some criminal discount Godzilla and Mothra themes for the latter. Yeah, that's... once you told me that, it clicked. Why the Sonic movie scores, I didn't remember any of them. And that's bad, Even the bad Sonic games, the Sonic games with bad soundtracks, I should specify, I still remember them. Does Sonic even have games with bad soundtracks? Yeah, it does. I say that, I take that back immediately. Sonic 4 had a pretty atrocious soundtrack. But that was almost more due to, instrumentation than it was the actual melodies. Because I feel like the melodies, if you were to get them onto a different instrument set, they could probably go really hard. Let's get out of here. We are in... Oh, okay. All right, that's fair. That's fine. What's your opinion on every modern movie trailer playing an overly epic version of a pop song? It is. It's funny when you notice it. But until a new trend is established, it's going to be that way. You know what's more annoying for me? I hate the trailer for the trailer that plays. It'll be like, you are watching the trailer for Black Panther 2. And then the trailer for Black Panther 2 starts. It's like, are our attention spans so low that we need a trailer to get us interested in the trailer? I haven't really played the Sonic games all that much, but I agree some of the Sonic games have really great music. I Am All of Me being my favorite. Dude, I Am All of Me is such a damn good song. Such a heckin' good song. Yeah, just good stuff. Hot take, I actually like Sonic 4 soundtrack. Look up Sonic Chronicles, The Dark Brotherhood. That one is a horror story. Yeah, I heard that they had to rush the soundtrack for that game. Let me scroll up a little bit. Why is every gun that isn't the assault rifle using the pistol model? No. It's not using the pistol model. I am upgrading the pistol. Because the pistol is one of the best weapons in this mode. And the reason being because of its reload speed. What's Battlefield like, chat and LNG? Battlefield? Like Dice Battlefield? Battlefield is great. Great franchise. Even the Battlefield games that are, you know, maybe not that great, I still get a lot of fun out of them. That being said, Battlefield 2042, that was a dumpster fire, and I am so relieved that they were able to salvage it into something that's very fun. But the next Battlefield should not be anything like Battlefield 2042 at launch or as it exists right now. Are you going to do a stream of Sonic X Shadow? Dude, that's a good idea. My birthday is on October 24th. My plan was that so remember how I played the Halo 5 campaign? Which was a lot of fun. I am thinking of playing through the entire Halo Infinite campaign on a stream, no matter how long it takes for my birthday. How is Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2? I never played Bad Company 1, but the best way that I can describe the Bad Company games is, so if you think of like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and onwards, those Battlefield games are their maps are designed like giant circles, where it's like kind of a giant circle with points of interest within the circle. The Bad Company games, their maps are more linear. And then the points of interests are along the, like, it's almost like a city street, you know? And so the fun of Bad Company 2 is the push and pull of you pushing the enemy back to their side of the long map, or them pushing you back into where you came from. Where Battlefield 3 and 4 is more about, you know, retaining control over the massive circular map and all the points of interest on it. I hear the Shih Tzu on the waddle. Let me go see what the little buddy's up to. He might need to pee. Tee-tee. Tee-tee. You want to go outside? He's moving faster. You want to go outside? You want to go outside, buddy? Do you want to go outside? Okay, now he's happily wiggling. You want to go outside? You want to go outside? Do you want to go outside, DT? Okay, let's go outside. Okay, I'm going to have to leave this game, unfortunately. Guys? This was a lot of fun, okay? Hey! This was a lot of fun. It is 11 o'clock, though. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to conclude this live stream. I need to be a dog dad. Hi, I see you, Mr. Happy. Wiggle, wiggle. I need to make sure the baby is fed. I need to put the baby down to eat. I'm kind of addicted to those videos that play Sonic OSTs in the movie scenes. The first film's battle works so well with what I made of. Oh, no, you shouldn't have said that, Andrew. I'm going to have to look that up now. But, yeah, this was a lot of fun. I might stream again tomorrow. Hopefully my video can be up by tomorrow. But, yeah, guys, thank you all for joining. This was a lot of fun. Lot of fun. Alrighty, folks, good night. Say good night, Pumpkin. You want to go outside? Alrighty. Good night, everybody. LNG going pee. Yeah, I also need to be taken out to pee on the neighbor's lawn with my dog.